One, two, three.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. We're on number 12. Dave, what is up?
Well, I'm sitting here drinking some water out of a glass jar
It's water.
and listening to you ramble and talking
Ramble.
about your bitter again.
Yeah, I'm always bitter, man.
Why are you bitter now?
Cause I don't like people.
Yeah, I know you're stressed out because you're selling a car.
Yeah, well, that's that's crazy.
Well,
Marketplace is retarded.
maybe if we advertise the car on here, you'll get even more messages.
Oh, no, nah. Forget he even mentioned my antique 85 mint condition car.
All right, cool. So on a real note, how's the weather in PA today?
Actually, today, not too bad. Yesterday, we had like 7 inches of snow, but
Interesting.
it got up to 41 today, and we're melting off. Looking
Yeah,
good.
yesterday and today has been about 40-mile-an-hour gust of winds,
Mm.
and it's like 50 degrees out, sunny. But tomorrow it's supposed to be nice, and I'm
Yeah,
actually finally get a chance to head to my farm this weekend, and I'm going to be doing some frost seeding,
you ain't
and
got no fun.
I do frost seeding and some cutting and some replenishing some domain feed. Um, so I don't know if you knew this or not. But for the past few days, last weekend, I was in Kentucky. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay. I
Maybe
was
the
working.
listeners didn't.
Yeah, I was in Kentucky and working with an outfitter,
Mm.
Hunter's Edge and LLC, and they're an outfitter. And I actually went there last year. Andre and his dad bought the place. It's about 200 acres. Um, it needed some work, and they brought me out there last year, hired me to help them out, and kind of do a plan for them a little bit and kind of get them going. And it's so many acres, so only a 2-day trip or something. I couldn't really fit it all in, so I gave them some ideas and things to get going. I think they put in 10 acres of food plots total. I think they had a total of 10 stands, and their whole idea and goal with this place is not to bring in a lot of people. They
Yeah, and
don't.
that's the opposite of what I thought you was going there for.
Yeah, yeah, they don't want a lot of people. Um, They just want a select few each year because they don't want to burn the place out. It's only 200 acres. You can only, you can only shoot so many deer. It's not like they have multiple farms,
Yeah,
that they can burn out and rotate. It's a family farm, family owned, where they only want a select few people.
yeah,
The cool thing about it is Kentucky, the season opens like September 2nd, so you have a chance of velvet. Um,
right.
so I went out there last year, and like I said, they had 10 acres of plots. I gave them some entry and exit strategies, and I think we set up like 8 or 10 stands, I believe,
Mm.
and they were able to shoot 3 bucks this past year. So they're
Nice,
ecstatic.
nice.
The clients were happy. I think they had 6 or 7 people total, I think. And so I came back out this year, uh, and we laid out. Now they have 18 tree stands, still 10 acres of plots. They We redid a few things, and then I spent the entire day in the mountain
They
cutting.
worked you like a dog.
I was worked like a dog.
You was worked like a dog.
I cut trees to help with canopy opening up and some structure on the ground, because if you stand in the woods, the entire woods looks the same. You can see through hundreds of yards through the woods. It's just a closed canopy forest. They don't want a forester in there. They don't want a cuttings or like a clear cut, select cut. It doesn't really have marketable timber, so my main focus was eliminating beech trees. The beech trees I cut were ginormous, so we went up back in the back, and on the benches, I kind of had I started cutting the beech trees on the benches, and made some travel corridors through there. We got 2 stands back in there for early morning hunts, and then we actually found the old logging road that went around the perimeter of the property. We scoped that out for a couple hours the first day, and we figured out where it can connect. On both ends, they have to get a skid steer to connect them a little bit, but those access roads will be good for getting back to that backside of that property in early morning hunts.
You had mentioned that they were taking clients in a buggy,
Yes.
and it was probably blowing out deer. And
Yep.
you've said that with talking with the elder there that they need to do some walking or electric biking to get into their faraway spots. Correct?
Yes, you are correct. So one of the issues with the property is access. It's not impossible. It's a little tricky, but the people that they were getting, the clients they were getting, y- I'll say this because hunters are sissified. We use this term a lot. They become sissified. They don't want to walk. They don't want to put any work in. And the clients they were getting immediately when they were told they had to walk, they got like an attitude because I guess being that they paid for a hunt, right?
Right?
They want to be catered to 100%,
I guess.
which I get. I understand that, but you're paying to hunt to have success, and in order to have success, you have to follow what the outfitter is trying to do and the importance of entry and exit. So, unfortunately, they use the buggy to drop people off at the stands, which
Yeah.
I made an emphasis on that to stop. Please stop, please stop that.
I
Um,
can see picking them up at night
yeah,
and maybe pushing off some
hmm,
deer with the buggy so
yeah,
that you don't have them
hmm,
pinpoint you or whatever.
yeah. I talked to
Yeah.
them to
So you can make a
about
clean exit.
talked to them about leaving the buggy run and try to get up in there and get out, but it's you just can't do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a good place. They're excited. I eliminated a lot of beech trees. I'm going back out again next year to do some more work with them. And yeah, it's a cool place. So
Yeah.
I
I
think it's got
mean,
a lot of potential.
it is pretty neat though in a way that they don't want to be big, you know.
Does not want
S-
to be big at all.
And I would rather have quality than, the quantity in there.
Hmm.
Meaning quality deer numbers than
Yeah. Oh
a
yeah.
bunch of small ones. And of course they're going to have a minimum size limit and things,
Hmm.
which we had talked about, and it's on their website too, which I don't think is too awful bad. I think it's pretty obtainable, especially for Kentucky.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
You
the
know.
area they in, I don't think it's high deer numbers, but they do have quality bucks already.
Hmm.
And the first thing they told me was when I got there, one of the things they said was the appearance of the deer has gone way up since the first year. Reason being is they got food in there now.
Yeah.
Because when I was there the first year, you could see ribs showing on all the trail camera pictures and all this. Well, now they got food plots, and we saw pictures of throughout the season, no ribs.
Hmm.
So that was one of the things they had noticed the first year just by
Well, and
getting the food in there.
they'll get a lot of maturity too through not having all those people there
Hmm.
shooting deer off while
Yeah.
they're young.
Hmm.
There's going to be some mature hogs down there to kill.
Yeah. Well, it's all mountain country, hills, and so I guess statistics show, in hill country and everything, you kind of increase the age structure of bucks.
Yeah.
So they have that going for them, and then they have an adjoining property that they have permission to hunt an additional 400 acres. They can't manage that side of the farm, but they can at least, they have that to where other hunters aren't in there. So
Right.
technically, it's 600 acres that they could get, some nice bucks on.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I'm still a little sore here,
Oh,
from cutting all day.
I bet.
Um, but it was fun. So I'm excited for them and can't wait to hear their success this fall.
Cool. Cool. All right. Let's roll into the first topic. We was talking about soil health.
Yes,
You
we
said
are.
you seen some videos and things online, and
So you're gonna throw me under the bus.
basically, since you wanted to talk about it,
All right.
but we were talking about
Or
folks that were trying to get organic matter and topsoil built.
Yeah, yeah.
Take it away. What do you want to say about it?
Well, I saw a couple videos recently, and this whole push for no-till in the food plot world is getting a lot of attention. And it's not a bad method. It's because it's just a new way of it's a new trend really in for the actual food plot world. But the podcast that I was listening to was saying that the guy was super excited that he gained 1 point of organic matter in 5 years
Yeah, that's
by doing
nuts.
no-till. That
5 years, 1%.
1%. That's silly. Um,
It's almost laughable.
it is, and I can see that.
Not being ignorant, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I can see that in a super rocky condition where you can't physically disc and you're trying to build the soil like on top of the rocks.
yeah.
That could be an exception. But in general, we're talking about a food plot for a deer, right?
Mhm,
A deer, a critter, an
mhm,
animal. Um, you have guys that are wanting to do this no-till and this whole crimping and this rolling and stuff to try to build soil on top of soil. They don't want to disturb the soil as it is, so they're trying to build all this stuff. Well, let me say this. It takes 100 years, I guess on average, to build an inch of topsoil.
I've
Who
heard that.
has 100 years? I
I'm
don't
gonna
have
live.
100.
I
Uh-huh.
do. I'm gonna live forever.
Okay, if you say so. Um, the absolute quickest way to build soil is to just simply dish the ground where you're turning green material back into the soil. Remember the old farm,
Hmm.
okay? We did soil samples. I had organic matters in the 3.5, 4%. After 3 years of disking and turning green manure back into the soil, I needed zero fertilizer, and the organic matter jumped from like 3 to 4. It jumped. I had organic matters into 8, 9, and 10%.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a
I have made considerable jumps over at the pasture that I
mm-hmm,
have destination plot there,
mm-hmm.
and it's same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
I'm disking and plowing things under and adding it into the soil, and it decays,
Mm-hmm,
and that is your organic matter underground that's going to
mm-hmm.
hold moisture for you and
Yep.
feed your plants.
Well, it's going to hold moisture. It's going to hold nutrients.
Yep.
By
And
being a sponge.
that adds to your CEC, your
Mm-hmm,
cation exchange.
mm-hmm.
That
Well,
helps that out greatly.
100%. Yeah. I mean, the plots at the farm, they were very poor soil starting out, needed tons of fertilizer. Yeah, we added synthetic fertilizer to get it going. And in 3 years, we did soil samples and we did not need fertilizer anymore.
Hmm.
The numbers were so high, you know, um, it was all adequate. It did not need fertilizer. So you do that in the beginning, and then the end result is you don't need much fertilizer.
Right.
So you're saving the money. So the guys that's wanting to buy these crimpers and these rollers and and are bashing or that are now bashing people for disrupting the soil. Well, if you do it the right way, by not just disking and leaving bare soil, you're actually planting something green that holds the soil together, and you're doing rotations and incorporating that green material back in. I
I,
mean,
I know you're going to get guys that are going to argue, say new no till's the new way and this is better. It
hmm
it doesn't hurt this, don't hurt that. But let's face it, conventional tilling's been around since biblical days.
yeah,
I mean, if it was good enough for God's guys back then, it's good enough for me.
hmm
That's all I got to say.
I I agree with you. Um, the whole discant, you're eliminating the carbon, in the
Mhm.
soil and then the nitrogen. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like I understand it. Um,
Well, one day you hear that you're disking, you're adding oxygen down, and it's ruining
mhm,
this and that, and then someone else comes along and says, "Well, you're aerating your dirt, and it's
yeah,
adding oxygen to your giving it to your plants." And it's like,
right,
okay, which is it? If you're going to argue science, tell me what the real deal is.
yeah,
You know, tell
mhm,
me what really works.
right.
Is it bad for the soil or is it good for the soil? I get
I
tired of
mean,
that argument.
yeah, I mean, it could possibly be, and I don't have the answer to it, but all I
Yeah,
can
I
tell
don't
you
know.
is, all I can say is from experience, saying that every time I plant food plots, disc in the ground, my soil samples prove that I'm doing the right thing. The soil is going in the right direction, and my food
Yeah,
plots are
yeah,
beautiful.
yep.
That's all you need to know. You know?
And you you're avoiding fertilizer shaming.
Yeah.
If you get your plots, if you and that's the funny part of this is they bash you for using the synthetic fertilizers, but like you said earlier, how many years do you have to wait? Let's put the stuff on. Let's get the
Mhm.
ball rolling. Let's get the numbers up, and then
Mhm.
eventually you don't need it,
Yeah.
and then you don't need to feel shameful for using synthetic fertilizer.
I know. It's
Some
synthetic fertilizer is the devil right
Yeah,
now.
it's the devil right now. Well, I think it's the devil because of the prices, not because I have to use it. You know.
Yeah, I mean the prices are high too, but I mean you can't get something out of something that or you can't get something out of something that you're not putting nothing into. If you're not
Well,
putting anything into the soil, how can you expect to get anything out of it?
right. And I think if you really, really think about it, if you're mowing or rolling or crimping and
Mhm.
laying it on top, it's just sitting there. Yes, it's decaying, decomposing slowly.
Mhm.
But if it was in the dirt,
Mhm.
down near the root zone of what you're growing, wouldn't you rather have it there feeding and putting that nutrient straight to the roots
Mhm.
instead of trying to feed it from the top down?
Mhm.
That's kind of like lighting a fire from the top.
Mhm.
It doesn't work out real well. You have to light a fire from the bottom
Mhm.
and then it consumes it's the same idea.
Well, think about it like this too. When you're okay, so people talk about compaction in the soil.
Hmm.
Well, if you're taking a tractor and you're continuously driving over that field,
Yeah, what do you think one of them crimpers weighs?
right, that and the tires alone,
Hmm.
it's compacting the soil. And then you're trying to, crimp or whatever your rye or whatever your buckwheat or whatever on top of the soil. Eventually, that soil is compacted.
Oh, it's going to be so hard. It's going to be
You
like
know,
rocks.
Yeah, and there's actually been, I think we mentioned this before, there's been studies where the guys is continuously doing no-till, you have that damp environment. We have so much thatch on top, you have that damp environment underneath where it can start creating algae and fungus
Yeah,
and and different
yeah.
things like that.
That
So
thick matting. Yep.
yeah. So
Yeah,
is
we did
this
mention that.
is disc in the ground terrible thing and is the best thing in the world? I don't know. I don't have an answer to it,
I,
but
I
I
think
can.
people would argue till blue in the face over that. I'm sure.
Yes.
You know.
And it's not that no-till is a bad thing. It works. A
No,
hundred
and
it
I mean,
works.
like you said, I don't think we're 100% right. I don't think they're 100% right.
Yep, I agree.
But we're heading in the right direction in less than a 5-year period, gaining more than 1%. That's
Correct.
I guess that's the moral of our point here.
Right. And and the whole thing with this no-till, this podcast I listened to from a reputable person was saying you don't need lime, you don't need fertilizer, you don't need anything. All you do is let the plants decompose
Yeah.
and it fixes it over time. Well, they were talking about a 5 to 10 year period before it actually fixes itself.
Hmm.
Who the flip has 5 to 10 years unless you physically own the property? But even then, I don't have that long. I can
Yeah,
fix the soil in 2 to 3 years.
I'm not that patient.
No, I mean, it's again, I always reference it's a deer. It's a food plot for a deer. Who most hunters are planting a quarter acre, half acre, a couple acres at most.
Right,
Why do you need to no-till that? Why do you need to buy a crimper? Why do you need to buy a roller? Why do you need to roll buckwheat, which is the biggest I mean, I gotta say, it's the biggest laugh that I see is people rolling the buckwheat and they just get very poor germination. It doesn't work right. They planted too many buckwheat seeds per acre, and now it's too thick. And now when they rolled it over, the seeds can't come up because there's too much, thatch on top. Um, I don't know. It's just the whole food plot world is confused. There's so much disagreement. Um, it could go on. It'll never stop. Um, but I guess the end of the story is if what you're doing is working, then continue to do it. Um, I'm going to continue to disc. I'm going to continue to incorporate green manure back into the soil, and I'm going to continue to watch my soil samples improve.
yeah, for sure. Well, you get these big name celebrity guys or whatever, and you get this cult following, and
Hmm.
they'll do anything that they
Hmm.
say,
Yep.
even if it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
You
Like
know?
spraying plot boost
Yeah, I mean, just
and
I,
plot
wa- I
start.
yeah, I wasn't even gonna say, but yeah, spraying stuff or using a certain seed or whatever. I mean, if like you said, if you're having success with something, I guess go ahead, keep doing it. If you're happy, if your end goal is you're feeling good,
Hmm.
keep doing it, I guess.
Yeah.
But should you be happy with 1% over a 3-year period or 5 years or whatever you
I
said?
don't. I
No,
don't think so.
no, heck no. Like you said, we've seen way bigger gains in our
Multiple point jumps.
yes, in our conventional till, you know.
Hmm.
And yeah, oh, you killed some earthworms. Well, how many didn't I kill?
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
did I miss
Hmm.
that are going to reproduce?
Yep.
You know, if I pull something out of the ground and it's got worms all over it, I didn't hurt them.
Hmm.
I
Well,
might have killed a couple of their relatives, but that's okay.
these guys that are emphasizing this no-till and all this, and they always see them taking soil and they squeeze it, right, and then when you let go, if it holds itself together, it's good soil. If you bunch another soil and it just falls apart, it's bad soil, right?
Right.
Well, when I grab my soil out of my conventional tilling, I grab it, it holds itself together.
Right.
There's a root system.
Yep.
So
Nothing
I
wrong with
just
that.
I just don't understand. I mean, some soils need more work than others. Some
Mm,
soils are worse, than others, and there's different. It may take a little bit longer to
yeah.
improve. But what are some things that you can plant, or what are some things that we plant or you plant to improve that organic matter that you can incorporate back into the soil?
Well, you have like plowed on clovers and things.
Hmm.
Um, you can use like a sun hemp.
Hmm.
You already mentioned buckwheat.
Hmm.
You can, you could even, you could even take your, yeah, I know what you're gonna say. I'll let you say it, but you could even take like a, a, a growing of immature sorghum
Hmm.
or Egyptian wheat or something, and you can
Hmm.
turn that back in. I'm talking when it's only a couple feet tall.
Yeah. Yeah.
There again, if you have time and if it's your goal, if
Hmm.
that's the way you want to do, but you know yourself in the videos that we've made, when we've disked anywhere that we had Egyptian wheat planted, the soil comes up so black and it just
100%.
looks so good and it
Yep.
smells so nice.
Hmm.
I mean, I love to till that stuff back in. Oh
Oh yeah.
man, it's the best looking stuff,
Hmm.
you know. I
Yeah.
mean,
On that.
that's some of the things I would consider putting back in the dirt, you
Hmm.
know, and especially like I said, the plowed on clovers and sun hemp and stuff. Those legumes like that, there's your free nitrogen.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of. that Egyptian wheat too. Another thing that you can do is if it's still, you still have some of it standing, this time of year, you could just take a bush hog to it, bush
Yes.
hog it, and it'll help kind of break it down a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite things to improve the soil would be buckwheat, and as you know, I absolutely love planting sunflowers.
I don't have success here because
Yeah,
they eat
they
them
eat them.
before they come out. Yeah, they're less than 6 inches and
Yep.
they're gone.
Well, remember the farm
Totally
we
gone.
planted, and they ate all the leaves, and it was just a stalk.
They turned out beautiful though.
I know they did.
Why didn't they eat them? I don't understand that.
I had one year where they actually ate the whole thing, and then
Yeah,
other years they would
because
just
they
eat the leaves.
yeah, they destroyed mine. And
Um,
how much hate mail did we get whenever we rolled them things in and disked them in? Oh
mhm,
my gosh. I had people, just going nuts. Why would you do that? They were
yeah,
so beautiful. Well,
they
that
were.
wasn't our goal to look at them.
Yeah, our
Our
goal
goal
wasn't. Yeah,
was for the organic matter to put
yeah,
the green manure back into the dirt,
yep. They
you
weren't to
know?
look at.
No.
They were pretty as that for as long as they lasted, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
goal wasn't to dove hunt over them or to look
No.
at them or nothing
Or
like
to
that. It was
or for bees and pollinators. No,
right.
that
You
wasn't
know,
even the goal.
right. The goal was to improve the soil, and that's like
Exactly.
100% what we did.
That's 100% what we
Yep.
did.
You can even do a good rotation would be, buckwheat through the spring and summer, two plantings possibly, two immature plantings, and then in the fall have wheat or rye, and then the following year take that wheat and rye and turn that back in. Then you can do buckwheat again, and then you can plant the winter rye again in the fall, and then the following year again turn that back in, and you could do that, for 2 to 3 years and of rotations, and you will have an amazing
Considerable
jump.
jumps.
Yep,
Considerable jumps you'll have.
big
You'll
time.
see you'll see multiple percentage numbers.
Hmm.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
I
so I
agree.
had I'm frost seeding this weekend, and I'm actually getting soil samples. So I have my soil samples from last year on the same two plots.
Mhm.
So I'm going to be getting the samples there, and once I get the results, I'm going to share a video just with the 1 year progress.
Okay.
So I'll be posting that up to see.
All right.
What gear are we in now?
I don't know, but let's switch it up.
Okay.
Let's totally go a different direction.
Uh oh.
We'd talked about earlier.
I done forgot.
Okay. Good. Good, because I'll spring it on you then. It'll feel like new. People with unrealistic goals. Now
Ooh.
now we're shifting out of food plots into the hunting now.
Ooh.
And people, we were saying it's all relative to where you live. You first of all, you have to have big deer in the state or in the area where you live to be able to set a goal and say, I want to shoot a 150, you
Mm-hmm.
know. It's possible to do that just about anywhere, probably,
Mm-hmm.
if find the right spot. But I think I think people are so torn up about these people on the internet all the time talking about big buck, big buck,
Mm-hmm.
big buck. They feel like they have unrealistic goals really set,
100%. Yep.
and it's all relative to where you live. They got to be there first before you can hunt them and kill them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. So the big time, YouTubers and celebrities
it's so much
type
pressure.
type things. Yeah. Most of them guys are out in the Midwest. So obviously Midwest has bigger deer. You have the potential of shooting a bigger quality buck. Now what you have to realize too is most of these guys are hunting on their own land that they own, and it's in a high quality area. Otherwise they wouldn't have bought it. You know what I mean? So they're buying strategic properties to hunt on, and they're talking about shooting big bucks because the big bucks are there,
Yep.
right? Now a big buck on that side of the world is completely different from a big buck on this side of the world.
Yeah, a
We're
big buck to me is 130, 140
and that's a good buck.
for here in PA where I
Yeah.
live, you
Yep.
know.
Now in Maryland, we have areas which down Eastern Shore, which you could have a potential of shooting a big boy, a 160, 170. Now around my house where I live, I mean, it dramatically goes down.
Yeah,
I mean, a
100,
120,
100,
yeah,
110s around my house here.
right, 100%. So you have to be realistic. Now I've seen people where say they're I'm going to shoot a 150. I'm going to shoot a 150. I'm going to shoot a 150 this year. And then they don't do that and then they're upset. Or they see somebody on YouTube shooting these big bucks and they make that goal of 150 and or 160 or even 140. And then they think that they have to buy a certain gear, a certain pouch
Right.
or some kind of certain clothing or a certain tree stand. All I got to do is buy this tree stand and it's going to help me shoot a big buck. No, you still have to be a hunter and these bucks need to be in the area. Just
Yeah.
because you do habitat features on your property and improve it and food plots and cuttings and doesn't mean that a 160 inch buck is going to magically appear. It has to be there in the area in the first place.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
mature buck on your land might only be 125
Mhm.
because all your neighbors are shooting all their young deer.
Yeah.
It directly relates to your property and what's around that. What you shoot on your property at your house, 5 miles down the road, the age structure could go up and it could be 10 or 15-inch bigger bucks.
Yes,
It
for
just
sure.
it's so relative to where
It's
you are
it
and
is.
what surrounds your
What
property.
kind of
What your
pressure
Yep,
is there? What kind of ag might be there
yep,
food wise?
yep,
Yep,
yep.
for
Well,
sure.
look at the farm. The farm we manage together.
Hmm.
Big woods, no ag,
Right.
right? When you in that type of situation,
And
you
then
plant food,
we
you
introduced food.
you suck in deer from miles away.
And who wasn't it? The first year we turkey hunted there, we might have heard one.
Mhm.
And then after that, it was like game on.
Yeah.
Once they found that field every
Mhm.
spring, it was so much, it was fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
Bigger we over the course of 5 years, you started seeing, bigger deer, because of the food and, we weren't shooting, anything small or nothing like that. So, um, look where I'm at now in the farm in PA. It's 100% different setup. It's all ag. There's quality bucks there. So the age structure is a little bit different than the farm we hunted together,
Hmm.
and the quality of bucks are a little bit bigger than what we were used to.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
it just relates to where you're at. But just because a dude on YouTube shoots 150s and 60s and 70s and 80s in Iowa or Kansas or Kentucky or Indiana or Illinois doesn't mean that you can do that in PA or Maryland, New Jersey or North Carolina, South Carolina. You know what I mean? West Virginia.
Yeah.
There's pockets that have big deer. There's certain
There's
areas.
big deer in every state.
Every state.
Every state. You
Mhm.
just have to be in a low pressure area where
Mhm.
that deer had some nutrition and some birthdays.
Mhm.
They're
Yep.
everywhere.
Yep.
You just have to be there.
What were you telling me the other day? The county where that big buck was shot or something in PA.
Oh, that was my buddy that is that the one you're talking about? The guy
I
I know?
I think so. The
Fr-
scorer or whatever it was.
Oh, well, yeah, I was telling you about
Okay.
I went to that scoring event. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
what was that? The
The
score.
Northeast Big Buck Club, and he had a couple 170s come in.
Okay.
While I was there, a kid brought in a 150, and my euro off the wall up there was a 125 and 7/8.
Yep. Now, for example, you just said they were 170s there.
Yeah,
That's PA.
yeah, that's a
That just proves
big
the point
buck.
that big bucks are in every state. You know,
I
you
thought you
just have
I thought you was talking about my buddy Jim that's with Smoky Deer Lure.
no.
He shot the biggest buck in Forest County. It was like one with deductions. It was almost 190.
There you go.
And that's crazy buck for that area.
Hmm.
I mean, there's big bucks taken every year, probably 150s, 160s, because that's Allegheny National Forest up there.
Hmm.
It's such a huge, expansed area, and only certain little pockets get hunted because there's only access,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
to that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You have to have good access, and if you're not willing to go deep, you know, you're probably not gonna land a big boy.
Well, look at this. This buck here scored 185. My
Hmm.
parents' house, right? Nobody back then hunted. So there was monster bucks on this property.
Right.
And people found out about it, started hunting, they killed all the deer, and now the age structure there is a lot less.
Hmm.
So it, you know what I mean? So it's 100% dependent on where you are. And if you're, say you're in a, say you got whatever it is, 100 acres, then you have property all surrounded yours, and all these guys, neighbors, are shooting 2-year olds, 3-year olds. You're not gonna you're not gonna see the 150s and 60s.
Right.
It just it's all dependent on where you live.
Yep.
So don't get depressed. Keep at it. Just have realistic goals
Yep.
and shoot what you can only shoot what's in the area. And I guess I can
Well,
say if you're not happy with that, go someplace else.
yeah. I mean, just keep it real and keep grinding. Like you said, have realistic goals,
Oh, I'm gonna
and
grind.
you just if you've got some food for them,
Hmm.
and just don't shoot the little ones.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to have a tag soup bear one year or something.
Hmm.
They gotta have birthdays. Gotta have
Yeah.
birthdays.
Birthdays and food.
That's it.
Take us out of here.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Find us on all your favorite platforms and audio version on my channel. And we will see you in a week.
On number
So,
13.
yeah, number 13. Drop some comments. Let us know what you want to hear about. We will see you on the next cast.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Later.
Bye.